whom were disrupted most, from the start, really. That, as Cindy mentioned, there was looting in the factories.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That it continues. And as she was saying in that interview with Anne, she's just, until a ceasefire happens, the suffering will continue. Abdulaziz, thank you so much for your time. Abdulaziz Musa, founder and CEO of Kush Digital.
Now, let's get all the sports with Rebecca Adams.
Thanks, James. Well, Patrice Motsepe says he wants to build on what he's called the good progress made during his time in charge of the Confederation of African Football, after deciding to stand for another term as the organisation's president. The South African billionaire was appointed in March 2021 when CAF was in something of a crisis. So far, Motsepe is the only candidate for the election, which will take place next year. He told BBC reporter Piers Edwards why he's decided to run.
The key issue for me is I was partly taken aback by the huge insistence about continuity, and I have total confidence in the quality of the leadership in football. But I think the key issue is for us to build on the legacy. There was some concern there may not be the same degree of emphasis on governance, on ethics, and the sort of fundamental changes that we've had to introduce. What is always important is the success of any organization is not because of an individual. We have had to make people realize, all of the member associations, that governance, ethics, compliance with the FIFA and CAF statutes and regulations are in the benefit of everybody. And good referees, good match commissioners. The most important thing is to maintain and to build on the good work. And there's still a lot of work to be done. But again, it's all about the team and everybody working together. There's a lot of good progress that has been made, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
The second question, you achieved a lot in your first term. What would you like to do in your second term? What's unfulfilled? What's not complete yet?
I think the most important thing is to give confidence to the sponsors, to the partners, the people that put money into football, that it's in their interest and they benefit from being associated with African football that has got ethics. And the judgment of ethics is not what I say or what those of us in football. It's what the public, the sponsors. So, I said to them that we've got a team, the team will take over, and many of the sponsors were very forthright, including member association presidents and zonal unions presidents, to say that they remember what has happened in the past, and there was this whole uncertainty and insecurity, which I thought to some extent was unfounded, because the achievements of the last few years were not exclusively because of me. And the issue as well is you really have to make people come around and believe that we will all succeed by doing things the right way, the proper way. And let me say one final thing. The zero tolerance of corruption and bribery in football will transcend to zero tolerance of bribery and corruption in politics, in business, and on the African continent. Because this is part of what we are trying to do, to emphasize to all our people that we will succeed based on integrity, based on honesty, based on hard work. And in football, you can't always win. There may be another national team that's better than you. Congratulate them.
So would you welcome a challenger?
I welcome 54 challenges, because I am confident that there are many, many presidents that could take over from me right now, let alone in future.
That was CAF President Patrice Motsepe speaking to Piers Edwards about why he intends to stand for another term as the head of African football.
Rebecca, thank you very much. Now, 3.5 million people are currently estimated to live with dementia in Africa, but there's been really very little research done on African patients, and many people are ill-informed about the condition. Studies, especially using genetics, have been heavily reliant on Caucasian populations. This is why a group of scientists in Africa have set up the Africa Dementia Consortium to improve the research and knowledge of dementia in Africa. For today's Africa Daily podcast, Mpho Lakaje speaks to one of the scientists involved, Professor Njideka Oku-Badejo, a professor of neurology from the University of Lagos, as well as Sekou Safik, who is from the Mount Meru Hospital in northern Tanzania, who has set up the only memory clinic in the country. He started by asking Professor Oku-Badejo how dementia impacts on patients.
In certain dementias, for instance, that caused by the commonest cause of dementia, which is Alzheimer's, it is actually recent memory that is most impacted. People with this kind of memory loss can also have problem communicating over time, finding the words to engage in conversation. They may also have problems planning and executing actions, going to the bank by yourself. They have problems with orientation, so they may be comfortable within their own homes, but if they have to travel elsewhere, they may typically become disoriented. They can have personality changes. They lose that desire to interact with society around them or the individuals around them. They may become disinhibited and exhibit some socially inappropriate behaviors. They may also be agitated, and they may confuse one person for another. So it's not unusual to see someone who has dementia mistaking their primary caregiver, like their daughter or son, to be their older brother or sister, and situations like that.
So, how well understood is the condition across the African continent? I mean, by both doctors and by families of people who have it.
One of the challenges we have with dementia